Today in the studio with me is Cameo Anders. She is the Director of Estate Planning and in-house counsel for the Catholic Community Foundation for Eastern South Dakota. Welcome, Cameo.
Thank you. Good job on that mouthful.
It is. That's a long title. And actually, even the foundation has a long name, so I just say the foundation. From now on in this show, it'll be Foundation.
Perfect.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good. So we wanted to have you come in because you are fairly new to the Chancery Foundation, and you have a kind of interesting job around here, I think. And I think a lot of people will be interested in what you can tell them and help them with, because it's some things that most of us will have to deal with at some point in our lives, which is end-of-life planning, estate planning, charitable giving, those kinds of things. So I think this is good for everybody. So I'm excited.
Well, good. I am too. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, so let's just start. Will you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got here, all that stuff?
Right, sure. So Cameo Anders, I'm an attorney. I have a master's in theology with a certification in bioethics. So kind of that Catholic bioethics and then end-of-life care piece is probably a passion of mine, if I can say that. A beautiful family, 4 kids, wonderful husband. Originally from West River, Rapid City area. And then we moved to Sioux Falls and have made this our home for over 18 years now.
Wow. So, my husband and I lived out in Rapid City for 5 years.
Okay.
So that was... Actually, I would love to move back there.
But yeah, it's so beautiful.
If we could just take Sioux Falls and put it in the Black Hills, that would be great.
That would
just make Rapid City just a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. It's actually grown quite a bit, so that's nice.
Yeah. Wonderful place, but beautiful. I would agree with you.
I miss the hills a lot.
Yeah.
But so you've been here a little while. Did you plan on doing the law and the theology, or did that come later?
It kind of developed.
Okay.
So I've always had sort of an interest in Catholic teaching. I think it, as you go through life being curious about your faith and sort of developing it into your own, the Catholic Church has such a wonderful treasury of answers to every question that you could encounter in life. So I've always had that interest in understanding more and more. I think my mom fostered that really well too, and her understanding of the faith and passing that on. So I then I became a lawyer and practiced in that area, and that was enjoyable, but the faith piece really fulfilled what I wanted to do.
Sure.
So
you went back to school for the theology degree while you were practicing law?
I did.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that.
Well, you can do it online now, and that's
true.
Much easier than
that's true. Because if you had to go to actual physical classes, that would have been
would have been difficult.
Yes, really difficult, especially because you probably had some kids by then. And
so I actually just got my theology degree, finished 2019.
Oh, okay.
So
it's been really recent.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Bet you learned a lot. I would love to do that. I just don't think I can do it.
It's never
go back
too
to
late
school.
to go back to school.
I don't want to. Maybe someday. So what is your role at the foundation then?
So my role is in-house counsel and director of estate planning. So kind of an overseeing of different legal issues that might come up, but probably mostly I spend my time in the estate planning piece of it.
Okay.
So previous to coming to the foundation, I practiced law in that area, helping people draft their wills or trusts or different documents, powers of attorney. And so now my role is to sort of be a bridge to those professionals, the attorneys that are helping potential donors or donors developing their estate plan. And then I can sort of just be sure that their estate plan is weaved together well with whatever charitable giving piece they might have with the foundation. If they have, questions about different options, I can speak that language already.
Sure.
So I can communicate with the attorneys. How about if we, put a charitable remainder portion into this trust, or
which they aren't going to know to say, and you can then help them with that part.
Yeah.
So you don't do the estate planning specifically. That's another estate planner, and like you said, you just kind of work with them in getting that link between that lawyer and the foundation.
Yeah. And I think what I really enjoy about it is that I can take my knowledge of estate planning. Somebody else does the hard work, but then I can incorporate the faith piece into that. And I just really get to experience the generosity of people.
Yeah.
It's,
so it's been a good shift for you.
It has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has it changed your faith in doing that? I mean, you haven't been doing it very long yet, so maybe that's too early of a question.
Yeah. You know, I think that it's deepened it. You know, just experiencing the faith of others and the different ways that they support their, you know, ministries or, you know, sending a seminarian to school. You know, just seeing that someone wants to dedicate a portion of their hard work and, you know, life earnings to making sure that someone becomes a priest to serve our diocese. Like that's just a beautiful thing to be able to participate in.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely deepened my faith to be inspired by others' strong faith.
Yeah. Are there more people out there willing to do that stuff than you realized or that you knew? Because I always wonder that. Like, I'm always thinking, gosh, who does this stuff? Because I know there's people out there that do. It's not me yet. I'm not to that point. But but I do wonder, like, is there a lot of people?
You know, I guess I don't have a big picture of that yet because I'm new. But if we think about, you know, just who we're created to be as a human person, like we're created to give of ourselves. And one easy way to do that, or one obvious way to do that, is, you know, to give to our parish financially. And so I think that everyone probably feels a calling to give of themselves.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And yeah.
It's maybe just a more intentional thing when you're doing the estate planning. Yeah. Which is a good idea.
Right. And I think everyone gets the message that an estate plan is necessary.
Right.
Whether you're a new family, whether you know, my son's going to turn 18 here and, you know, he's going to be mad about it, but part of his present is going to be, you know, some estate planning. And we're like, oh, Mom.
Like, gee, thanks. So really then what I hear you saying is it really doesn't matter how much money you're making right now. That the estate plan is really just a future plan for how you're going to treat what you earn and treat the gifts that God gives you.
Right, exactly. And so, you know, let's say you're making a minimal amount and you just don't have extra funds, you know, to channel elsewhere because you're a young family or whatever. You know, your estate plan isn't going to say, I'm going to give $10,000 to this. It's going to say, you know what, maybe I want to treat the church as one of my children. So regardless of how many children I have, I want one portion to go to what has fostered and nourished my faith and hopefully my children's faith and my grandchildren's faith. So that estate plan structure can be set up now.
Right.
And then however much you have to pour into it at your death doesn't matter.
Right. That's a great way of saying that. I'm betting the regular estate lawyers don't say it that way.
I don't think they do.
I really like that. So is there a specific way that you kind of guide people in investing and giving in a Catholic way? Is there a theology, for lack of a better word, to guide that?
Yeah, that's a good question, kind of to tweak it a little bit, but like, how do you discern, you know, this, there's definitely a spirituality to discerning how and where to give of your financial assets. You know, how much should I give? How, you know, one thing that I love about the foundation is that we have different, you know, gift planning officers in all throughout the diocese, in different, you know, Watertown and Yankton and Aberdeen, and they just enter into a relationship with the person who is trying to figure out how best to discern that question, like how and where and what can I give, and what are the ministries that are really close to my heart.
Right.
So do I have a way of doing that? I think I would just take my cues from the people out, you know, in the field already doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just, okay, let's meet with you and I'll tell you how you can give money.
Right.
But, you know, I've heard stories about, you know, one of the gift planning officers went to, you know, a doctor's appointment with an elderly, you know, a 93-year-old lady who just needed someone to be there with her.
Right.
And so to really enter into a relationship with that person, and to be more than just, raising funds, but to actually be a friend and a support that remains with them.
Yeah, I've heard those stories quite a few times from people from the foundation. So that's really awesome to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, if you're just joining us, I'm talking to Cameo Anders, who is the Director of Estate Planning for the foundation. So now there's some end-of-life planning stuff that you deal with too. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's really an interesting thing to me because my dad was diagnosed with cancer a few years ago and a couple years ago. And he was at Avera and they started kind of going through some of those things with him. And he was asking me questions about it. And I'm like, geez, Dad, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's really good to hear about that from you. So can you tell us a little bit more about that part?
Sure. So, first of all, what are my expertise in that area? I sit on a couple committees that deal with those issues and kind of the ethics surrounding them. And then I sit on a committee with our state bar dealing specifically with elder law. And so really sort of being in tune to how we can best serve our elderly population through the law and through Catholic teaching, I think is a piece that I bring to the foundation that would hopefully be useful. But yeah, when you're trying to make those decisions, mostly medical decisions, so like in a healthcare power of attorney document, what decisions do I make and how do I make them and which are consistent with Catholic teaching?
And that's the big question, because that was his big question. It's like, I don't know what's consistent and who can tell me.
Yeah. So I can tell him.
Yeah.
I can tell, if people do have questions on that, definitely contact me, because with my, National Catholic Bioethics certification, that's a big piece of what does church teaching say and how can I implement it?
Right.
So thankfully our state law is really amenable or, friendly to church teaching. For example, if someone is having the difficult question of, should I remove treatment? Will that be hastening the death of my loved one?
Right.
It's going to depend on the treatment. The Catholic teaching will have some specific guidance on the removal of medically assisted nutrition and hydration, which should be presumed to be always provided unless there is some burden, like a physical burden in providing it, or unless it's causing extreme pain and suffering, then it can be removed from, even consistent with Catholic teaching. And that's a hard balance to figure out.
Yeah.
So
because there are some guidelines, but every situation is just going to be different.
Yeah, it's going to be circumstance dependent.
And that's where someone like you can be super helpful.
Yeah.
So now I know there are some Catholic teachings that are the basis, the underpinnings for this type of planning. Can you tell us about some of those?
Sure.
Okay,
so one great one that I would recommend reading is Samaritanus Bonus. I think I probably slaughtered the Latin, so hopefully nobody notices. But it's the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith just put out a letter that really addresses end-of-life care.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful letter. So if you read that, it's going to give you kind of I want to say there's like 13 really specific nuts and bolts application of palliative care and what that is and what it should be. But it just offers this sort of culmination of church teaching on this issue, and really offers some beautiful ways to apply church teaching when you're remaining at the side of a loved one who's passing away, or when you are that loved one who's going through, a difficult time, like your dad when he went through cancer. And I'm sorry for that. I know it's a difficult place to be.
He's still here. And
awesome.
Actually, I should have finised that story.
Yeah.
He is still here. They thought he was only going to have a few months to a year to live. And actually all of the cancer is gone.
Oh my gosh.
So yes. Yeah, it was quite the miracle for us. So he is still here. He's doing very well. He'll be on chemo for the rest of his life, but he tolerates it very well. And we're just super glad he's still here.
Oh, that's a
for
great.
however long we get him.
Yeah.
So it's been really good. And the people at Avera were really great. I know that they've still been real good to him. So
Oh, that's great to hear.
yeah. So we talked a little bit about how you've enjoyed your role. Is there something specific that you've enjoyed the most so far as maybe different from your life as a lawyer before?
Yeah, I think incorporating that faith piece would be what I've enjoyed most. Just witnessing the generosity of others. Yeah. I've really enjoyed that. Being able to serve people in that role. I mean, there are questions like what can I do that's consistent with Catholic teaching? And to be able to provide them with a hopefully clear, well-reasoned answer, right. But I really enjoy that piece of it, to just be able to serve those who are trying to live out their faith.
Yeah, good. Are there, sometimes probably your work is a little challenging, I imagine. Are there any saints in your life that you turn to regularly?
So I, as a mom of 4 kids, turned to Mary. Just, in my daily failures, I'm like, okay, thanks for backing me up, because
she's got you.
She's got me. But then, St. Thomas More, patron saint of lawyers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's kind of a go-to. I really like St. Raphael, the Archangel. I think he's patron of healthcare workers. But just, I think it's maybe Tobit is the story where he just walks alongside the person.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I never thought about that one because I haven't looked into Raphael very much.
Well, look into him.
I will. I will. Any other saints? Those are it.
I know. So I really enjoy a Moscato wine, and there's actually a saint. I know. Don't air this part.
Oh, it's there.
But there's a Saint Moscati who's the patron saint of human research. So part of what I do is sit on a board that oversees human research projects and just make sure that, informed consent is gained and that there, just kind of the safety of it. And so I always pray to Saint Moscati before, engaging in that kind of work. Yeah.
That's an interesting one. One of my favorites has always been Padre Pio, who was known for a lot of healings and so on, and started some hospitals. So
yeah. Oh,
he's a great one.
There's so many great people that have gone before us, aren't there?
There are. Okay, we have a couple minutes left. Do you have any weird hobbies you can tell us about? I just sprung this on her, so if she doesn't have any, we're in trouble.
Weird hobbies.
But I think this always tells you a little bit about someone.
Right?
So.
You totally didn't prep me for this
question.
Didn't. My weird hobbies, I think I love reading John Paul II's encyclicals.
Okay.
So
some of those are kind of difficult.
They are a little difficult. So I have to do it with, a dictionary next to me usually, or I guess update my, a cell phone so I can Google all the words. But, and I love reading U.S. Supreme Court cases. So
that's weird.
Right? That is kind of weird.
But you're a lawyer, so I'll let it go.
John Grisham novels, if you get into them.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, they could be very riveting.
True. Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
All right.
How about you? What are your weird hobbies? Do I get to ask questions?
I love football. I don't know if that's really a hobby, but you turned that around on me. That was sneaky. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Cameo. I appreciate it. And how can people reach out to you? We should really say that.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sure my information is available, through the foundation, on their website.
ccfesd.org. Right, Bill?
Yeah. I know my phone number, you could call my cell or my office, and my cell is 605-366-2447. Okay, great. So feel free to call or text that number or reach out to me. Yeah,
great.
Through those other ways.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. All right. If you haven't found us on social media yet, you can find us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at SF Diocese Anytime, or you can find us at sfcatholic.org. That is it for us today. Hope you'll join us again next week for more Catholic Views.